So Japan likes tradition. It's a very traditional country. They've always respected their traditions, even today, but especially in the 1500s in medieval Japan, tradition was an even bigger deal. They fought in a traditional way with traditional tactics, traditional soldiers, and traditional rituals. Except for one man. Oda Nobunaga was an extremely unconventional man in a very traditional time. He would always break the mold. He would always do the unexpected and do things you simply would not have expected a Japanese lord to do at the time. One of these unexpected moves was hiring a foreigner to be one of his samurai. Not just a foreigner, but a black guy. Now Japan was shocked. Nobunaga had long shocked his family with his non-traditional decisions, but with this he shocked the entire country of Japan. But not just with the fact that he hired a black samurai, but just at the fact that there was a black guy. Most people in Japan had never even really heard of a black person before. When the man in question, Yasuke, arrived in Kyoto for the first time, the town was in an uproar. People went crazy. Huge crowds gathered to see him, just to try and catch a glimpse. So many people stood on top of roofs to try and look at him that the buildings would collapse beneath them. There were people who died from being crushed underneath crowds because people wanted to see Yasuke that badly. Oda Nobunaga heard about this commotion and invited Yasuke to meet him at Honnoji Temple. Now this is where one of the most unusual events in Japanese history would take place. Somehow this whole situation would get even stranger at this temple. Because when Nobunaga saw Yasuke, he still did not believe he was actually black. He actually asked him to scrub himself down completely because he just thought that he was a guy covered in ink. When he realized that he wasn't covered in ink and he was actually a black guy, he was so amazed that he threw a banquet in his honor. Yasuke was impressive in a number of ways. He showed incredible strength and his height was enormous. The average height at the time was 5'2". Yasuke stood at 6'2" tall. After the banquet, Nobunaga gave Yasuke some money and they said goodbye. Yasuke went round travelling around Japan, meeting various people, and later would join Nobunaga as a samurai, making him the first black samurai in history. Now when Yasuke was a samurai, he gained a lot. Money, status, privilege. He lived in an estate with lots of servants. He was living the high life now, the life of a samurai. Going from a slave to a samurai must have been incredible, an unbelievable change in circumstance. However, it wasn't all fun and games. He would have to fight by Oda's side in battle. In life or death situations, it must have been dangerous, it must have been hard, it must have been terrifying. But he wasn't just Oda's bodyguard, he was also his friend. At this point, Yasuke likely spoke fluent Japanese, and it's said that they had a lot of long conversations together and enjoyed talking to each other. However, these good times would come to an end, all because of one man. Akechi Mitsuhide, one of Oda's top retainers, would betray Nobunaga and attack him, surrounding him with a large army at Honnoji Temple. The place where Nobunaga and Yasuke had first met would be where they had their last stand together. They fought hard together, but they were outnumbered and there was no way to survive. Nobunaga committed seppuku to try and go out with honor. Yasuke didn't die. In fact, he escaped and met up with Nobutada at Nijo Castle. And at Nijo Castle, him and Nobutada would work together to raise an army and to try and take revenge against Akechi Mitsuhide and get revenge for Nobunaga. They failed. Nobunaga was a great man, but Nobutada could not live up to that standard. Instead, he was defeated by Akechi Mitsuhide and Yasuke was captured. Mitsuhide's reaction to Yasuke could not be more opposed to Nobunaga's first reaction. Whereas Nobunaga was amazed by Yasuke, Mitsuhide saw him as being closer to an animal than a man. He didn't even consider Yasuke worthy of execution, and instead just sent him back to live with the Jesuits. Going from being a samurai to being another Jesuit servant must have been a horrible change of circumstance. We don't know much about what happened to Yasuke at this point either. We don't know whether he went on to become somebody else's samurai, whether he achieved success in some way, or whether he just stayed working with the Jesuits for a while. But no matter what he did, he would have been able to look back on a rich and exciting life as a samurai. And that's how Japan got the first black samurai. If you enjoyed, please leave a like and feel free to subscribe. Thanks for watching.